During the course of this semester, these Columbia MBA students are going to learn the hard way what it takes to be a good investor. There comes a time when you're not going to spend any more money on gambling is what I'm getting at. Where are we in that cycle?
Well, I think...
Has that peaked, or is that still growing rapidly?
I don't think it's peaked, and I think what you're saying...
I don't know what you think.
No, but I'm going to tell you why. In Las Vegas, for example...
You're not going to tell what you think. You're going to tell me what you know?
I'm going to tell you exactly what I know right now.
As a beginning investor, the first skill you need to master is to know that it's not easy making money, and it's dangerous. And what we're trying to teach our students is to know everything before you do anything.
The biggest person in this business is DeVry, and they report, and you don't even, A, know that they report.
You want us to buy the stock?
Unacceptable.
Based on what you say?
Unacceptable.
It just ain't easy getting rich. I'm Jim Rogers, and this is The Art of Investing.
Coming up next, Jim will define what it means to go long and sell short. Jim will also tell you how he identifies investment opportunities. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Knowledge TV Retro, brought to you by Jones International University, the first fully online accredited university. Change your life for the better on your schedule. 8-week classes begin next month. Visit jiu.edu to find out more.
This television program is based on an advanced securities analysis class taught by Jim Rogers at Columbia University in New York City. The information contained in this program is for educational purposes only. While you, the viewer, will hear many stock recommendations throughout this program, these recommendations are made by students of this class who are just learning how to analyze securities. We invite you to share in their learning experience. However, we caution you not to follow these or any other stock tips until you have personally investigated the recommendation at length. As Jim Rogers likes to say,
don't make any investment unless you know a lot about it, unless you know so much about it that you know you're right and that it's so right. It's just like money lying in the corner. Well, all you have to do is go over there and pick it up because you've done so much work and you understand it so well that you know you're right.
While the techniques taught by Jim Rogers have proven successful for others, there are no guarantees. Therefore, Jim Rogers, the students, Columbia University, and the producers and distributors of this program cannot be held liable for any success or failure you, the viewer, experience as a result of using these techniques. If you decide to practice the skills taught in this program, you do so at your own risk.
And let's define a couple of basic terms that you may or may not hear in the investment world. Going long. Going long means buying, basically. When I buy something, I go into the marketplace and buy 100 shares of something. That is also known as going long. I'm long it. I own it. I don't know where the term came from, as I think, but if you hear somebody say he is long IBM, that means he owns. He has bought IBM and he owns IBM. Let's define selling short. Two ways to make money in the investment world. The way most people make money in the investment world is they buy low and sell high. In other words, I buy something at $10 a share, and it goes to 25, and I sell it. I have bought it at 10 and sold it at 25, and I have made 15 profit per whatever. You can also reverse that process. It's known as selling short. In other words, I can sell it at 25, and then when it goes to 10, I can buy it. I have still bought and I have still sold. I have just reversed the process. I sold it at 25 and bought it when it went to 10. I still made 15. Now you're going to say, well, how do you sell something if you don't have it? How do you sell this thing at 25 if you don't have it in the first place to sell? Well, you borrow it. It's very common. It's very easy to do. You don't even know it's happening. You just call up your broker and say, sell short 100 shares of something at 25. He takes care of all the rest of it. He borrows it from somebody, sells it, gives you the money. Then when it goes down, you buy it at 10. Your broker gives the shares back to whoever you borrowed them from, and everything is fine. It's just like if you borrow money from the bank. You don't know where it came from. You don't care where it came from. All you know is you borrow the money. It's money you didn't have. You borrow it, and you have to pay it back. Now, let me just remind you that I just explained to you about selling short, and it's wonderful, and I just explained to you about buying, goes from 10 to 25, or from 25 to 10, you might buy a stock at 10, you might go long a stock at 10, and it goes to 4. Well, you've lost money in that case. Similarly, if you sell a stock short at 25 and it goes to 30, you have lost $5 a share. If it goes to 35, you have lost 10. If it goes to 50, you've lost 25. One thing I should alert you about selling short is, if you buy a stock, theoretically, if you buy anything, theoretically your profits are limitless. You can go from, you buy a stock at 10, it can go to 20, it can go to 100, it can go to 1,000, it can go to 1,000,000. So you can make 2, 3, 5, 50 times on your money. If you sell a stock short, the most you can make is 100%. Let's say you sell a stock short at 25. The furthest down it can go is to 0. But from 25 to 0 is 100%. It can't go below 0, so you can't make more than 100% when you sell short. On the other side, if you sell a stock short at 25, sell anything short, your losses can be unlimited. Stop to think about it. If the stock goes to 50, you've lost 100%. But it can go to 75, you've lost 200%. If it goes to 100, you've lost 400%. When you sell short, your losses can be infinity. Your losses can never go on forever if you're wrong. If you buy something, your profits can be infinite. You can make infinite multiples on your money. If you buy something and it goes wrong, you can only lose 100%. If you sell something short, you can only make 100%. It's an important distinction. Okay, now, let's go into the kinds of things we're looking for if we want to make money. And essentially, there are 4 different areas that I found over the years where I look for ways to make money in financial markets. The first one is a disaster. I'm always quite keen when I read the New York Times or the press and I see about a disaster. Because whenever there's a disaster, needless to say, something gets cheap. When people go bankrupt, or when there's war, or when there's some kind of epidemic, it's going to be a disaster for a lot of people. A lot of things are going to suffer, especially stock prices. For instance, I'll tell you some stories, the kinds of things I'm talking about. Lockheed, in what period in its history, decided they were going to go into the commercial airline business. Lockheed was a great defense contractor. They decided they'd expand as defense started getting bad. So they decided they'd go into the defense business, to the commercial airline business. Well, they weren't any good at it. Lockheed essentially went bankrupt trying to build these jumbo jets. They failed miserably. They essentially went bankrupt. They were in such bad trouble, it looked like the government was going to have to bail them out. The price of Lockheed went down about 95%. That's where they tried to go into the business. That's when they failed. See, the stock collapsed here. Now, if you'd done your homework at the time and gotten out your balance sheets and gone and done your homework and done your work, you might have bought Lockheed. You might have bought Lockheed here for lots of reasons. Well, the price of Lockheed has gone up 150 times, and that's in 25 years. Now, if you can make 150 times on your money in 25 years, you don't need to take this course. Don't listen to anything I say to you. Just do it. Just get out there and do it. In fact, call me. Call me as soon as you figure out one that you think is going to go up 150 times in the next 25 years, and you're going to make a lot of money. Now, the second place that I look, anyway, is I look for when I see trees growing to the sky. You know, the people on Wall Street and the financial communities have a habit that if an industry really does well for 5 or 6 years in a row, they think this is going to go on forever. After 5 years of growing 20 or 30, 15, 20, 30% in a row, people say, "Guys, things are great. This is a tree which is going to grow to the sky. This is a growth stock, it's called." Well, nothing. If you go back and read your financial history, you will find that nothing goes on forever. No company, no country, no family, no industry ever has gone on forever. Some take longer than others to collapse, but they all eventually collapse. How many of you remember video games? You all should remember video games. You were 13 years old when they came into, you were all playing video games. Any of you ever heard of Atari? I bet you have. Well, in 1983, when you all were playing with video games and they were sweeping the land, if you'd sat down and figured it out, you would have figured it to justify the prices of some of the stocks that were going on in the video game business, everybody in the land would have had to have 4 video games, including your grandmothers, including your rabbi, including your priest, including everybody you knew had to have at least 4 video games. In 1983, 5% of the graduating class of the Harvard Business School went to work for Atari. 1983, 82, 81, one of those years. 5% of everybody who got out of the Harvard Business School in 1981 went to work for Atari. 3 years later, Atari was bankrupt. Bankrupt. You know, so don't believe just because everybody says something is perfect, especially if business school students say it, don't believe that it's going to go on forever.
Stay tuned. Jim concludes his discussion on identifying investment opportunities after these messages.
The third place that you look for, that I look for things to make money in the financial markets, I look for whole new concepts, whole new industries, whole new areas. When I was growing up as a kid, my parents sent me to a nursery school. A nursery school was just a lady down on the corner who would take in people during the day while everybody else, I don't know what the parents did during the day, but my father went to work. I don't know what my mother was doing. But they sent me and all the other kids in the area, in the neighborhood, to nursery school. And that was this lady, this nice old lady, who had a nursery school. About 10 or 15 years later, after I was going to nursery school, some guys in Alabama, of all places, decided that they could really do nursery schools. They could run these nursery schools. And there's probably a lot of money to be made in nursery schools. And so they went along and started opening nursery schools, only they called them daycare centers. They didn't like the name nursery school because that was sort of, everybody ridiculed them. They finally came public. I remember when they finally came public, there's only one institution on all of Wall Street that would even buy the stock. It was such a laughing stock. One. They were from Alabama, nursery schools, who the hell wanted, who cared, or anything else. But if you'd bought that stock, it was called daycare centers. It was a whole new area. Stock went up about 100 times in the next 10 years because people suddenly realized women were working, there were 2-family households, these guys could do it cheaper, safer, more efficiently, and you could get something out of it, and they could sweep the nation. And yet at the time, it was such a new concept and such a ridiculed concept that you could have bought the stock for nothing. The fourth area that I look for is the government. You have to watch what the government's doing. First of all, you have to watch what the government's doing just because you're all citizens. And these guys are wacko. But, the government spends, the government's budget is hundreds of millions of dollars. If the government decides there's a problem, and they decide, well, we're just going to spend $1 billion. That doesn't even show up on the budget, $1 billion. Nobody even notices. But if it's a new industry, if you happen to see that the government has suddenly decided to throw $1 billion at some little industry, and you're a company, and you only get 5% of that, who can tell me what 5% of $1 billion is? Go ahead, Lawrence.
50 million.
Lawrence says 50 million. Anybody disagree with him? Anybody agree? How many agree with him? How many disagree with him? You agree or you agree? 50 million is the right answer. Well done. Well, very well done. You done on a calculator? You do in your head. So if the government decides, and you only get 5% of the business and $1 billion that the government doesn't even know they're spending, you're going to make a lot of money, a huge amount of money. I told you about Lockheed. Remember Lockheed back in 1974? The stock went down 95% or something? Well, the government started doing X. Doesn't matter what they started doing, but the government started doing X, and Lockheed couldn't disappear. That's all you had to know. Get on your airplane and fly out to Lockheed, fly down to the Pentagon and see if this was really happening, and you might have bought Lockheed, and you would have made a vast amount of money just watching these guys down in Washington.
Hi, my name is Brad Patelli. I cover the security industry, and more specifically, I look at the companies that do bomb detection. Today I'm here to talk about a short sale recommendation on Behringer Technologies, which is one of the several firms which has appreciated tremendously since the Flight 800 TWA disaster on July 17th. What I had done to begin the analysis is gone back and looked at the other bombing incidents which have taken place over the course of the last 8 years or so, which would include the Pan Am Flight 103 bombing, the World Trade Center bombing, the Oklahoma City bombing, and looked historically at what had happened to these stocks immediately following the incident, and then also attempted to look at this 3 months after and further out after the incident.
Great. So in the past, when there's been a bomb or a bomb scare or an act of terrorism, these stocks have gone up and they've come back to earth.
Yes.
But you know, we're looking for change here. Maybe this time it's going to be different. Maybe this time the sales of this company are actually going to come through.
Right. Extremely important. Maybe there's a whole new industry now. You know, if everybody keeps dropping bombs, there was no bomb detection industry 5 years ago, 20 years ago.
I found that out, yes.
And now that people are blowing up things all over the world. Now listen to John's point, because it's extremely important. Maybe we are the first ones to find, or among the first to find, a brand new industry. Think of how many people in the Middle East could use bomb detectors. Think of how many people in Europe could use bomb detectors.
Yes.
Why don't we buy this stuff? Let me call my broker.
I mean, 5 years ago, did you really consider it a risk when you got on an airplane that it might get blown up? And what is your feeling about that now?
More to the point.
More to the point. Maybe there's a John's point that maybe there's a whole new industry here.
I agree with that.
How many companies are in this business?
There's two specific segments of the business. Okay, there's really X-ray technology, which would be kind of throughput type things where bags would go through, et cetera. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 players in that industry, and then there are about.
What are their names?
EG&G, ITI, InVision, and Vivid.
So one of those companies is a big company, but the other three are obscure companies.
Yeah, actually, a few of them are foreign. And actually, I didn't mention Plastech, which is a UK company, and CPAD, which is a Canadian company. What this company does is they have a device which measures trace elements of narcotics and explosives.
Does it work?
The company says it works, okay? The FAA tests these things.
Does it work? You are my analyst here. Does it work or not?
Well,
How would you figure out if it works?
the FAA tests these things.
Right.
And
The FAA certifies them. There's one company that they have certified their technology.
Who is that?
InVision.
That's not this company.
It's not this company.
have they failed to certify this company?
They have not failed to certify the company.
So maybe is this company down there being tested at the FAA?
They have a product down there being tested right now.
Okay.
But they have done that in the past.
And what they were rejected in the past.
That's right.
Okay. And what is different? What does the company say? Do they say, well, this time we got it right? Has the company demonstrated in their own headquarters that they have it right? Why don't you go down to where's the company located?
It's in New Jersey.
Why don't you go over there and say, listen, guys, let's put a bomb in a suitcase
And show me that this thing works.
to show me that it works. It's a very simple thing to do.
Yeah. No, I fully intend to do that.
All right. Well, let's
Put your
Well,
own
I
bomb in a
hadn't thought about the
suitcase
bomb thing, but yeah,
Okay. We need to know, does it work?
absolutely.
Because if it doesn't work, then this might be a fantastic short. So far, there's only one company. Is that company public?
Yes, it is. It's
Is it
up 300% since
Is
the
it cheap?
disaster. Is it cheap? What would be cheap?
What are its sales?
What is the stock price? Let's start with that.
Yeah.
I don't. Stock price is 30.
30.
25.
How many shares of it?
Don't know. I don't. I did not do my.
The
comps
only
on
person who's been certified is public and trades, and you don't. Have you done a spreadsheet on this
that.
company?
No, that's the problem.
Well, Brad, I mean, don't
No.
you think you ought to know?
Golly gee.
Because maybe,
Yes, I do think
maybe
I
your
should know.
point is, look, this other company's got 90% of the business. They're already certified. It's growing like a weed, and even if these guys come in, they don't have a chance.
Is their product cheaper than Behringer?
No, see, the InVision technology doesn't compete directly with it. Okay, the metal
This sounds like a
detectors. they wait-
fantastic opportunity to buy.
Why so?
Well, I mean, the alternative, according to your paper, is dogs, right?
I didn't understand that.
The alternative is dogs.
Dogs?
Dogs, you know.
Dogs, they go around and
Dogs,
sniff.
canines. Yeah. I thought you were saying that the alternative is a stock's a dog, and I'm like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Yes, dogs,
What is
canines.
the present technology for figuring out bombs? What is the present technology for finding bombs and narcotics anywhere in the world?
Dogs are the best technology.
All right, dogs is the current technology,
That's
right? Okay, dogs you
but
have
there's
to
a guy
feed.
that has rats, and I think that's in the paper.
Okay, but
The
dogs...
FAA funded part of his project.
I understand,
it's not a joke.
but dogs you have to feed, right?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of work.
You've got to feed dogs, you've got to have a handler for a dog, a man's got to walk around. This is a 50-pound thing which sits right there, and you put a wand on. Which would you rather use? Which is more cost-effective, the dogs or this?
The wand is more cost-effective, believe it or not.
Well, if we knew whether it worked, I know I believe it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's massive, a massive
No, I
technological...
think that's counterintuitive, though. You would think a dog,
No,
get him at the pound.
No, I know you got to feed the you got to feed the dog every day. You got to have a handler.
That's
The
right.
dog takes up a lot of room. You got to give the dog a bath.
That's right, you do.
You can't have dirty dogs walking
And they're
around the
obvious.
airport.
This is the other problem with them. They're obvious. Everybody sees a dog. They know what he's doing.
Right.
So-
But soon everybody will know what the 50-pound one is. But we're either on the beginning of something really big or a great short, one of the two. So somebody's either a fraud or not. And all I need to know is, does it work? Who else makes it? Just tell me if it works. Tell me what the market's going to be. Tell me the price of the stock, and tell me what the competitive situation is. And chances are you've got a great idea here. You can either buy this stock or it's a great short. But unfortunately, at the moment, I can't tell which.
When we return, Jim Rogers will have some final comments on investing. Stay with us.
Knowledge TV Retro, brought to you by Jones International University, the first fully online accredited university. Change your life for the better on your schedule. 8-week classes begin next month. Visit jiu.edu to find out more.
The way you make money in the investment business is you look for change. You find something that's very, very cheap, where positive change is taking place and is about to take place, and you buy it. Or you find something that's very, very, very expensive, where negative change is in the process of occurring, and you sell it short. The change is the single most important thing. Look for change, figure it out before everybody else does, and you will make a lot of money in the investment business.
Coming up on the next edition of Art of Investing.
Now, in order to identify change and understand change and find investment, you've got to understand the numbers. If you don't understand the numbers, you should not be in the investment business. I wish you were easy. I wish there were a pill you could take. I wish you could just do it on gut or feel, but you've got to understand the numbers. It just ain't easy getting rich.
It's dangerous. And what we're trying to teach our students is to know everything before you do anything.
The biggest person in this business is DeVry, and they report, and you don't even, A, know that they report.
You want us to buy the stock?
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
It just ain't easy getting rich. I'm Jim Rogers, and this is The Art of Investing.
Coming up next, based on an advanced securities analysis class taught by Jim Rogers at Columbia University in New York City. The information contained in this program is for educational purposes only. While you, the viewer, will hear many stock recommendations throughout this program, these recommendations are made by students of this class who are just learning how to analyze securities. We invite you to share in their learning experience. However, we caution you not to follow these or any other stock tips until you have personally investigated.
During the course of this semester, these Columbia MBA students are going to learn the hard way what it takes to be a good investor. There comes a time when you're not going to spend any more money on gambling is what I'm getting at. Where are we in that cycle?
Well, I think...
Has that peaked, or is that still growing
I don't
rapidly?
think it's peaked, and I think what you're
I don't know
seeing...
what you think.
No, but I'm going to tell you why. In Las Vegas, for example...
You're not going to tell me what you think. You can tell me what you know.
I'm going to tell you exactly what I know right now.
That's
As a beginning investor, the first skill you need to master is to know that it's not easy making money.
Jim will define what it means to go long and sell short. Jim will also tell you how he identifies investment opportunities. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Knowledge TV Retro, brought to you by Jones International University, the first fully online accredited university. Change your life for the better on your schedule. 8-week classes begin next month. Visit jiu.edu to find out more.
This television program is the recommendation at length. As Jim Rogers likes to say,
don't make any investment unless you know a lot about it, unless you know so much about it that you know you're right and that it's so right. It's just like money lying in the corner. Well, all you have to do is go over there and pick it up because you've done so much work and you understand it so well that you know you're right.
While the techniques taught by Jim Rogers have proven successful for others, there are no guarantees